Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you to expose the greatest enemy of success, the silent thief of dreams, the invisible chain that binds even the strongest among us, fear. Fear is not real. It is a product of our imagination, a creation of the mind, the parasite that feeds on doubt and hesitation. But here is the truth. Fear has no power except the power you give it. And today we strip it of that power forever. The first step to destroying fear is to understand it for what it truly is, a lie. It whispers doubts into your mind, telling you that you are not ready, not strong enough, not worthy. But I say to you, who gave fear the right to decide your destiny? You were born with infinite potential. The only thing standing between you and greatness is the illusion of fear. There is only one antidote to fear, definitiveness of purpose. A mind fixed on a clear goal has no time for fear. When you know exactly what you want, fear becomes a distant echo, drowned out by the roar of determination. The weak hesitate, but the strong decide. And the moment you decide, fear starts to vanish. Fear is a state of mind, and like any thought, it can be controlled, reshaped, and eliminated. This simple truth has the power to change your life. Yet most people live their entire existence shackled by fear because they never grasp its true nature. They believe fear is an unstoppable force, something external, something that happens to them. But fear is nothing more than a thought, a mental reaction to uncertainty, a conditioned response to the unknown. And because it is a thought, it can be rewritten, overpowered, and ultimately destroyed. Think for a moment about the last time fear held you back. Was it the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of what others might think? Whatever it was, recognize that it did not exist outside of you. It was not in the air, not in the people around you, not in the situation itself. It was inside your mind, a story created and believed by you. And just as easily as you accepted that story, you have the power to rewrite it. Your mind is the most powerful force in your life. Every success, every failure, every achievement, and every missed opportunity begins there. The person who allows fear to dominate their thoughts will always find reasons to hesitate, to delay, to play it safe. But the person who understands that fear is a self-created illusion realizes that they have the ability to erase it and replace it with courage. This is not wishful thinking. It is a fundamental truth about the way the mind operates. Your thoughts determine your reality. History has proven time and again that those who rise above fear are the ones who achieve greatness. The most successful individuals in any field are not those who never felt fear, but those who refuse to let it dictate their actions. They understand that fear is merely a suggestion, not a command. They recognize it, acknowledge it, and then act in direct defiance of it. Every time they do, they weaken fear's hold over them until eventually fear loses its grip entirely. Consider how fear is formed. It is the result of past experiences, societal conditioning, and self-doubt. As children, we are fearless. We take risks without hesitation. We explore, we try, we fail, and we try again. But as we grow older, we are taught to be cautious. We are told to stay within the lines, to avoid risks, to fear failure, to be realistic. Over time, these ideas take root in our subconscious, shaping our beliefs about what is possible. Fear is not something you were born with, it is something you were taught. And if it was learned, it can be unlearned. How do you do it? You start by taking control of your thoughts. When fear creeps into your mind, stop and question it. Ask yourself, is this fear based on reality, or is it just a conditioned response? Is it protecting me, or is it holding me back? More often than not, you will find that fear is based on imagined consequences rather than actual danger. The mind creates worst-case scenarios that never come true, yet people allow these imaginary disasters to paralyze them. But the mind can also create best-case scenarios. It can be trained to see opportunity instead of risk, to expect success instead of failure. The choice is yours. The key to eliminating fear is understanding that it is not some immovable obstacle. It is simply a thought, and thoughts can be changed. The more you take control of your thoughts, the weaker fear becomes. The more you challenge your doubts, the more confident you become. And the more you act in spite of fear, the more fearless you grow. Fear is a state of mind, but so is courage. The question is, which one will you choose? The finiteness of purpose is the antidote to fear. Know what you want, and fear will wither in its presence. There is nothing more paralyzing than uncertainty. When a person lacks a clear goal, their mind becomes a breeding ground for doubt, hesitation, and fear. They question themselves at every step, wondering whether they are making the right choice, whether they are capable, whether they should even try at all. This indecision invites fear to take control, whispering reasons to stay where it's safe, to avoid risks, to never step beyond the familiar. But when a person has definiteness of purpose, when they know exactly what they want and are determined to achieve it, fear has no power over them. A mind that is focused on a definite goal operates differently from one that is aimless. When you have a strong purpose, your thoughts align with that purpose, and fear has no space to grow. Imagine a ship without a destination. It drifts aimlessly, at the mercy of the wind and waves, but a ship with a clear course moves forward with purpose, unaffected by distractions. The same is true for the mind. When you lack a definite goal, you are easily swayed by fear because you have no strong direction pulling you forward. But when your mind is locked onto a goal, fear becomes a mere inconvenience, something to be pushed aside, rather than something that controls you. The reason most people remain trapped in fear is that they have never decided what they truly want. They let life happen to them instead of taking control. They dabble in different things, never committing fully, always waiting for the right time or the perfect opportunity. But this lack of commitment feeds fear. It creates a mental fog that prevents action, keeping them trapped in an endless cycle of hesitation. The moment you become definite about what you want, everything changes. Suddenly, you have a reason to move forward, a purpose strong enough to override fear. When a person is truly committed to a goal, fear becomes secondary. Think of an athlete training for the Olympics. Do they experience fear? Of course. But their commitment to their goal is so strong that fear becomes insignificant. They do not allow it to dictate their actions because they are too focused on their objective. The same applies to entrepreneurs, artists, leaders, anyone who has ever accomplished great things. They do not wait for fear to disappear before they act. Instead, their definiteness of purpose is so powerful that fear is pushed to the background. There is a simple truth that many fail to realize. Fear is strongest when the mind is uncertain, but it weakens when the mind is focused. When you know exactly what you want and are willing to pursue it with full commitment, fear does not disappear entirely, but it loses its control over you. It becomes something you acknowledge, but no longer obey. The person who is uncertain will always be dominated by fear, but the person who is definite in their purpose will find that fear has no real hold on them. The key to eliminating fear is to make a firm decision about what you want in life. Not a vague desire, not a half-hearted wish, but a definite, unshakable purpose. The moment you do this, you will notice a shift. Your energy will change, your thoughts will align, your actions will follow, and fear, which once seemed so powerful, will become nothing more than a shadow that fades in the light of your unwavering determination. Fear thrives on doubt. Self-confidence is its greatest enemy. Train your mind to expect success, and fear will have no room to exist. The battle against fear is not fought with external weapons, but within the mind itself. Every individual who has ever been held back by fear has at some level entertained the idea that they are not capable, not worthy, not strong enough. These doubts create a fertile ground where fear can grow, gaining strength with every hesitation, every second-guessing thought. But when self-confidence takes root, Fear has nowhere to stand. It shrinks in the presence of certainty, dissolves in the face of conviction, and disappears entirely when the mind is fully trained to expect success. Self-confidence is not an accident. It is not something a person is born with while others are left without it. It is developed, strengthened, and cultivated through conscious effort. Just as the body can be trained to become stronger, the mind can be trained to replace fear with absolute belief in oneself. Every time a person takes a step forward despite fear, their confidence grows. Every challenge overcome, every obstacle faced, every risk taken adds another layer of certainty to the mind. Over time, this process creates an unshakable belief in one's ability to succeed. And when that belief is strong enough, fear loses all power. Fear and confidence cannot coexist. One will always overpower the other. The person who expects failure will hesitate, doubt, and ultimately give up before they even begin. But the person who expects success moves with purpose. Their actions are bold, their decisions are clear, and their energy is contagious. Others recognize it, the world responds to it. Confidence attracts opportunities, while fear repels them. The person who truly believes they will succeed approaches every challenge with a different mindset than the one who is filled with doubt. One of the greatest mistakes people make is waiting for confidence to come before they act. They believe they need to feel strong before they take a step, that they must first eliminate all self-doubt before moving forward. But confidence does not come before action. It is the result of action. The moment a person moves, despite their fear, they weaken its grip. Every time they choose to act instead of hesitate, their self-belief grows. And the stronger their belief becomes, the less room fear has to exist. The mind is like a garden. If left untended, it will grow weeds of doubt and fear. But when consciously cultivated with thoughts of success, courage, and self-assurance, it transforms into a force that fear cannot penetrate. This process requires discipline. It requires vigilance over one's thoughts, a refusal to entertain self-defeating ideas, and a commitment to replacing every doubt with an affirmation of strength and capability. Those who do this consistently will find that confidence becomes their natural state, and fear, once an overwhelming presence, fades into insignificance. Everything a person wants in life is on the other side of fear, and the only way to get there is through self-confidence. Those who have trained their minds to expect success move through the world differently. They walk with certainty, speak with conviction, and act with an unshakable belief that they will achieve whatever they set out to do. And because they believe it, they make it a reality. Fear is powerless against a mind that has decided to succeed. The moment a person truly understands this, they are free. Action kills fear. Every step forward weakens its grip. Stand still and it multiplies. Fear is a mental force that gains strength through inaction. It is not the actual challenge, risk, or situation that creates fear. It is the hesitation, the delay, the overthinking. The more time a person spends analyzing a fear, avoiding it, or imagining the worst possible outcome, the stronger it becomes. Fear thrives on inaction, growing larger in the mind until it becomes an overwhelming obstacle. But the moment action is taken, fear begins to lose its hold. Every movement forward, no matter how small, chips away at its power. Many people live their lives paralyzed by fear, waiting for the right moment to act. They tell themselves they need more time, more preparation, more reassurance. They believe that once they feel ready, the fear will disappear. But this is an illusion. Fear does not vanish with time. It intensifies. The longer a person waits, the more their mind builds fear into something far greater than reality. And in this state of hesitation, they lose precious opportunities, watching from the sidelines while others take the risks and reap the rewards. The only way to break free from fear is to act in spite of it. It does not matter if the first step is small. What matters is momentum. Fear is like a shadow that appears large from a distance but shrinks as you move toward it. The moment you take action, the illusion begins to fade. The mind, which once created endless doubts and hesitations, shifts its focus from worry to execution, and as each step is taken, confidence replaces anxiety, and fear loses its control. There is a pattern to fear that few recognize. It is always strongest before action is taken. The anticipation, the uncertainty, the mental exaggeration, all of these combine to create a sense of paralysis. But the moment action begins, everything changes. The mind shifts from thinking to doing, from hesitation to engagement. What once seemed impossible suddenly feels manageable. Fear's greatest weakness is that it cannot survive in the presence of movement. Some of the most successful people in history have admitted to feeling fear before taking bold steps, but the difference is that they did not allow fear to dictate their actions. They moved forward regardless of how they felt. They understood that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. And each time they did, they became stronger, more fearless, more certain of their ability to overcome challenges. There is a simple truth that separates those who achieve from those who do not. Achievers do not wait for fear to go away before they act. They act, and in doing so, they destroy fear. Every person has the ability to do the same. The key is to refuse to give fear time to grow. The moment hesitation creeps in, act. The moment doubt begins to whisper, move. Fear only exists when you give it space in your mind. The more you fill that space with action, the less room fear has to exist. No matter how overwhelming fear may seem, it is powerless against action. When you stand still, fear grows. When you move, fear crumbles. Every step forward is a victory over the force that seeks to hold you back. And once you understand that fear is nothing more than a thought that weakens in the presence of action, you realize that you are in control. The choice is always yours. Stay still and let fear grow, or move forward and watch it disappear. Your environment influences your fears. Surround yourself with faith, courage, and success, and fear will suffocate. The mind is not an isolated force. It is shaped, influenced, and conditioned by the environment in which it operates. Every thought, every belief, every emotion is in some way a reflection of the surroundings in which a person exists. Those who live in an environment filled with doubt, negativity, and fear will inevitably absorb those same qualities. But those who surround themselves with courage, ambition, and success will find that fear has no place to thrive. Fear is not always self-created. It is often inherited. It is passed down from those who live in fear themselves, from those who never took risks, never pursued their dreams, and never stepped outside of their comfort zones. It comes from the voices of those who say, "Be careful, don't take chances, what if you fail?" These voices, whether they come from family, friends, or society itself, plant the seeds of doubt that grow into full-blown fear. And unless a person actively chooses to break free from this influence, they will remain trapped in a cycle of hesitation and limitation. A person's greatest weapon against fear is the power of association. The thoughts, beliefs, and habits of those around you will inevitably shape your own. Spend time with people who are bold, confident, and driven, and you will absorb their mindset. Surround yourself with individuals who take action despite fear, and you will naturally begin to do the same. But remain in the company of those who constantly hesitate, who focus on problems instead of solutions, and you will find yourself mirroring their fears. Environment is not just physical, it is mental, emotional, and energetic. It is the books you read, the conversations you have, the content you consume, and the people you allow into your life. One of the most effective ways to destroy fear is to place yourself in an environment where success is normal, where taking risks is expected, and where courage is the default mindset. When you witness others moving forward despite their fears, it changes your perception of what is possible. It proves to your mind that fear does not have to be a barrier, that it is nothing more than a temporary emotion that can be ignored. The mind learns through exposure. The more it is exposed to bravery, the more it adapts that quality as its own. History is filled with individuals who overcame their fears, not by sheer willpower alone, but by placing themselves in environments that demanded courage. Athletes train with those who are stronger to push their own limits. Entrepreneurs network with those who have already succeeded to expand their vision of what is possible. Leaders align themselves with other leaders to reinforce their confidence. This is not coincidence. It is a deliberate strategy to condition the mind for success. The same principle applies to anyone seeking to conquer fear. The fastest way to eliminate fear is to immerse yourself in a world where fear is not tolerated, where belief in success is the only acceptable mindset. There is no mystery to why some people seem fearless while others remain paralyzed by doubt. It is not because they were born different. It is because they made a choice to align themselves with influences that strengthened their confidence rather than weakened it. They refused to absorb the fears of those around them and instead surrounded themselves with energy that fueled their ambition. And in doing so, they suffocated fear out of existence. Anyone can do the same. The mind is a reflection of what it is exposed to. Feed it courage, and fear will starve. Fear is a tool of failure, used to keep you from your greatest achievements. Conquer it, and you will unlock your true power. There is no force more deceptive, more crippling, or more destructive to success than fear. It is the silent enemy that keeps people from taking risks, from stepping into the unknown, from pursuing the very things that could transform their lives. It disguises itself as caution, as rationality, as playing it safe. But in reality, fear is nothing more than a barrier, a self-imposed limitation designed to keep a person trapped in mediocrity, and those who do not learn to master it will always be ruled by it. The most dangerous thing about fear is that it often operates unnoticed. It does not always scream loudly. It whispers. It tells you to wait. It tells you that you are not ready. It convinces you that you need more time, more experience, more resources before you can take action. And slowly, without you realizing it, it robs you of opportunities, of growth, of the life you were meant to live. Fear is the tool of failure because it ensures that you never even try. It keeps you stuck in hesitation while those who are bold enough to act move forward. Success in any form requires risk. It requires stepping into uncertainty, embracing challenges, and taking action even when there is no guarantee of the outcome. Those who succeed are not fearless. They have simply learned to act in spite of fear. They understand that fear is a test, a threshold that must be crossed to reach new levels of achievement. The person who learns to move forward despite fear is the person who gains power over their own mind, and in doing so, gains power over their destiny. There is a harsh truth that few are willing to face. Fear is either your master or your servant. If you allow it to control you, it will dictate every decision you make. It will convince you to take the easy path, to avoid discomfort, to settle for less than you deserve. But if you learn to master it, fear becomes fuel. It becomes a source of strength, a sign that you are moving in the right direction. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every moment of transformation begins with the decision to move beyond fear. Fear does not exist in the external world. It only exists in the mind. Two people can face the same situation, and one will see opportunity while the other sees danger. One will act while the other hesitates. The difference is not in their abilities or circumstances. It is in their mindset. The person who has trained themselves to see fear as an illusion, as a test rather than a threat, will always have the advantage. They will move forward when others hold back. They will take risks when others stay stagnant. And because of this, They will experience success at a level that those ruled by fear will never know. There is nothing that fear can take from you unless you allow it. It has no real power, only the power you give it. It cannot stop you from taking action, from stepping forward, from choosing to pursue your dreams. The only way fear wins is if you surrender to it. And the moment you decide that you will no longer be controlled by it, you take back control of your life. Fear is the greatest tool of failure, but only for those who allow it to be. The ones who recognize it, face it, and move beyond it unlock their true power. The power to create, to lead, to achieve, and to live without limits. Fear is the greatest thief of success, robbing countless individuals of their potential, their dreams, and their destiny. But it is not an unstoppable force. It is not an unbreakable chain. Fear exists only in the mind, and once understood, it can be dismantled and destroyed forever. The key lies in decisiveness, in self-confidence, in taking bold action and surrounding yourself with courage, and in recognizing fear for what it truly is, a test, not a barrier. The person who refuses to let fear dictate their actions becomes unstoppable. They do not wait for fear to disappear before they move. They move despite it, knowing that every step forward weakens its grip. They do not allow the doubts of others to shape their reality. Instead, they choose to cultivate an environment of belief, ambition, and success. They do not mistake hesitation for wisdom or fear for caution. They understand that every great achievement requires risk, and they embrace it. The only question that remains is this: will you allow fear to control your life, or will you take control of your mind and destroy fear forever? The choice is yours. But know this: on the other side of fear lies everything you have ever wanted. And the moment you decide to act, to move, to believe in yourself without hesitation, fear will no longer have power over you. You will be free. You will be unstoppable. You will finally step into the life you were meant to live.